those who offenselessly bathe in her sacred waters and reside on her sacred banks. It has been confirmed by Srila Chakravarti Pad, who spent many years residing there, that just as Radha Kunda is non-different from Srimati Radharani, Shyam Kund is also non-different from Sri Krishna. Srila Chakravarti Pad has stated in his writings that due to intense feelings of ecstatic love, when Radharani saw her beloved Krishna, she melted and assumed a liquid form that became the sacred waters of Radha Kunda. Similarly, when Sri Krishna saw Radharani, due to ecstatic feelings of divine love, he also melted and became the liquid waters of Shyam Kunda. Always longing to meet but forced to remain apart, Radha and Krishna have assumed the liquid forms of Radha Kunda and Shyam Kunda and are now forever immersed in the ambrosial nectar of eternal union. At the Sangam or meeting place of the two sacred kundas, the waters of Radha Kunda flow into the waters of Shyam Kunda, where they embrace one another eternally. Whenever Srimati Radharani sees Shyam Kunda, she directly sees Sri Krishna. And similarly, whenever Sri Krishna sees Radha Kunda, he directly sees Srimati Radharani. Therefore, to approach these two sacred kundas is the same as directly approaching their divine lordships, Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. The appearance of Radha Kunda in the spiritual world. It is related in the Adi Puran how Radha Kunda and Shyam Kunda first appeared in the spiritual world. One day in Golok Vrindavan, their lordships Sri Sri Radha and Krishna were sitting in a forest kunja on a jeweled throne attended by the gopis. Deeply absorbed in the pleasure of Radharani's company, Krishna suddenly began to manifest symptoms of intense love. So intense was Krishna's feeling that he began to take on the mood of Radharani. As the mood increased even further, Krishna took on Radha's very own form. In that form and mood, Lord began shedding tears and calling out the names of Krishna again and again. Then, out of desperation, ran into the nearby forest in search of himself. Seeing Krishna in her own form and mood disappear into the nearby forest, Radharani also entered into a mood of intense love. So intense were her feelings that she took on the mood and form of Krishna. Shedding torrents of tears, she began crying out the name of Radha over and over again. Observing Radharani's sudden change of form and intense mood, gopis tried to fetch for her in various ways, but to no avail. Some of the gopis then decided to enter the forest and try to find Krishna. After searching for some time, the gopis managed to find Krishna, and after pacifying him to some extent, informed him of Radharani's pitiful condition. When Krishna understood the situation, he immediately wanted to go to Radharani. Suddenly, a celestial voice from the sky announced that simply by chanting the Navakshara mantra of Radharani, she would immediately come. Krishna, who was still in the form and the mood of Radharani, then chanted the Navakshara mantra, and Radharani immediately came there and stood before him. With her head bent slightly and her eyes staring at the ground in shyness, Radharani listened as Krishna began to address her in sweet words. Quote, "My dear Radha, I am your eternal servant. Please give me punishment in any way you think fit. My dear beloved Radha, I made you cry in separation and caused you pain. I also cried and suffered unlimitedly. Just see, the flood of our tears has created two kundas. The kund made from your tear will be known as Radha Kunda, and the kund made from my tear will be known as Shyam Kunda." The gopis became gladdened to see that after hearing from Krishna, Radharani became pacified and gave up her distress. Radha and Krishna then went to take bath in the two newly formed kundas. When Radharani dipped into the tear-filled Radha Kunda, she immediately regained her original form, much to the delight of all the gopis. Krishna then dipped into the tear-filled Shyam Kunda and immediately regained his original form. The appearance of Radha Kunda within the material world. According to the ancient Vedic scriptures, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears on earth in each and every millennium, accompanied by his most confidential associates from the spiritual world. One of the reasons for the Lord's appearance on earth, besides exhibiting his transcendental pastimes, is to destroy the demons and re-establish the eternal principles of religion. Whenever the earth becomes overburdened by sinful, irreligious rulers, the Lord descends to annihilate them and save the devotees from persecution. 5,000 years ago, just prior to the beginning of Kali Yuga, the age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the world had become overburdened with irreligious and demoniac kings, who simply ignored the real interests of their citizens while pursuing a sinful life of immoral pleasures. Not caring to uphold the principles of religion, these demoniac kings often persecuted the pious devotees of the Lord in an attempt to wipe out all traces of religious practice. One such demoniac king, the evil son of Ugrasen, was known by the name Kams. The evil-hearted Kams had overthrown his own father and usurped the throne of Mathura. One day, at the wedding ceremony of his sister Devaki, Kams heard a celestial voice from sky proclaim that the 8th child of his sister was going to kill him. From that moment onwards, Kams became stricken with fear that he was destined to meet his doom at the hands of his own sister's 8th child. Cruel Kamsa immediately imprisoned his newly wedded sister and her husband Vasudeva and murdered one after another all her newborn children. The 8th child, Lord Sri Krishna, who was a direct incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was miraculously smuggled out of the prison before Kams could attempt to kill him. He was then taken to Gokula, where he was left in the custody of Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, king and queen of cowherd men. Having come to understand that Devaki's 8th child had escaped, Kams let loose a reign of terror throughout the kingdom and ordered the slaughter of all newborn babies. As destiny willed, Kamsa's agents failed to find baby Krishna, who was peacefully living in the safety of his foster parents' home in the village of Gokul. In the ensuing days and months, Kams sent a number of powerful demons, each possessing great mystic powers, in search of baby Krishna. But alas, one by one, they all met their doom at the hands of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who was enjoying his transcendental pastimes as a baby in the village of Gokul. As the years passed by and Krishna started to grow, Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj decided to move their home to the village of Nandagram on the other side of Govardhan Hill. Due to the continual threat posed by the demons sent by King Kams. In Mathura, the King Kams continued to live in fear of Krishna and could not give up his desire of wanting to kill the Lord. Periodically, Kams would receive news of Krishna's whereabouts and sent one of his demon friends to finish Krishna off. Unfortunately for Kamsa, one by one, the Lord dispatched all these envious demons to the kingdom of death, from where they would never return. During the period of Krishna's stay at Nandagram, he grew into the most handsome youth in creation. It was at this time that Krishna began to exhibit his loving pastimes with the beautiful cowherd damsels of Vrindavan, and in particular Srimati Radharani, the incarnation of divine love and the most beautiful female within the universe. Srimati Radharani began an expansion of Lord Sri Krishna's internal potency, Hladini Shakti, accompanies the Lord wherever he descends to the material world to take part in his most intimate transcendental pastimes. One day, during the month of Kartik, King Kams received news that Krishna had been seen herding cows somewhere near Govardhan Hill. Kams immediately called Arishtasur, one of his most powerful demon friends who could change his form at will, and ordered him to proceed towards Govardhan Hill, find Krishna and kill him immediately. Having heard that the evil Arishtasur demon had entered Vrindavan forest and was terrorizing the inhabitants, Lord Krishna decided that the time had come to rid the world of yet another envious demon. This Arishtasur, by dint of his mystic powers, had assumed the form of a gigantic bull and was lurking near Govardhan Hill. Understanding the bull demon's envious evil intentions, Krishna gathered all his cowherd boyfriends and along with the cows proceeded towards the spot near Govardhan Hill, where the demon was waiting. Having reached Govardhan Hill, Krishna assured all the inhabitants of Vrindavan that they need not be afraid. Then, in very loud voice, began to rebuke the Arishtasur demon with sharp words for daring to challenge his authority. Having been pierced by Krishna's sharp words, that bull demon suddenly appeared before the Lord in a very angry mood. Arishtasur was so huge that he looked just like a mountain, and his tail appeared to touch the clouds. Krishna, resting his arm on one of his cowherd boyfriend's shoulder, challenged the bull demon to fight. With a tumultuous roaring sound, the furious demon suddenly charged towards Krishna, shaking the earth as he moved. When the demon came close enough, Krishna caught him by the horns and threw him with such a force that the demon lost consciousness. After a few moments, the demon regained his senses, sweating profusely. He again charged towards Krishna, but this time with double the force. Again, Krishna caught the bull demon by the horns, picked him up just like a child might pick a flower. Twirling him over his head, Krishna threw the demon down with such a force that the demon's eyes bulged from their sockets. Shaking his legs uncontrollably and passing stool and urine simultaneously, the bull demon gave up his life air and departed for the kingdom of death. When the inhabitants of Vrindavan heard that Krishna had killed the terrible Arishtasur demon, they all rushed to the spot in a jubilant mood. Srimati Radharani and her girlfriends also arrived at the scene, and upon hearing that Krishna had killed a